teaching, some literally leave scars you'll never forget. These are the teachers that make school even harder for students. Let's take a look at them.
I love you so much, Winter. It's been my dream for you to notice me, and you're one of my idols. I almost fainted. Oh my god. Hi, Winter. I love your videos, and I am so inspired by you, and I hope your account will be unbanned. Much love from Grape.
If you would like to be featured in a shout-out, make sure to join my Roblox group. Growing up, I always thought when you get to middle school or high school you would start getting dress codes. But as a high schooler now, I realized you can actually wear anything you want. But this teacher has this really strange dress code for his students.
A teacher is currently going viral on social media after he made his students follow a very interesting dress code. Quickly, I would just like to say that the person in the video in the beginning is not involved in this situation in any way, shape, or form. That's just a random video I put in the background. But here is this teacher's dress code for the SATs. So starting off with the first one, no bras.
I hope he's not requiring them to follow these dress codes, cause what?
Okay, so you can't wear any bras, and then everything else you just cannot wear. So you can't wear sweatpants either. The teacher also said that you cannot wear slides or Crocs.
Not wearing slides or Crocs is reasonable for gym class. You have to wear some sort of sporty shoes. So that way you won't trip and fall easily. But Crocs are kind of acceptable cause you can put them in sports mode.
And then at the bottom it says, please dress properly as the gym is cold. Yeah, this is definitely weird.
Well, if the gym is cold then it doesn't help that you can't wear sweatpants. So he expects kids to wear shorts and leggings to a gym class that is cold? If I was in this class, I would not follow the rules. In fact, I will report the teacher to the office.
And after seeing this post on social media, a lot of people started to freak out and are trying to find out who this teacher is that made this dress code right here because, it says at the bottom, they're going to be in the gym taking the SATs, and it's going to be very cold, and then the teacher proceeds to say you can't wear a bra. Yeah, that is definitely weird, but I don't think this is real. Now, the reason why I believe that this is not real is because I turned up my brightness, and I just realized it literally looks edited. If you look at the top right, it just looks like all this was colored in. On the student's hair, there's blue on his hair, so a student likely made this edit. Hopefully this wasn't spread around the school and potentially maybe this teacher got in trouble. Hopefully that didn't happen, but I believe that this SAT dress code is fake. And what do you think about all this?
Oh phew. I didn't realize the editing was there until he pointed it out. I'm so glad that it was fake. I would feel so bad for the students. What would you do if it was real and you had that gym class? Have you ever gotten into an argument with your teacher and you make them so mad, they end up putting their hands on you? Well, that's most likely never happened to you, but that's what happened to this student. Some teachers are just mentally crazy.
This is the creepy story about the insane teacher. A history teacher in China was accused of killing one of his students. The victim was an 11-year-old girl named Zhang. The teacher flew into a rage and slammed her face on the desk. Then he stomped on her head and kicked her, punched her, and beat her with the metal bar until she was unconscious. The teacher then calmly told his class that he was going to take the young girl to the nurse's office. Then out of nowhere, he lifted her limp, motionless body off the floor. As the other students watched in horror, he tossed the young girl out the window.
Wait, what? That just caught me off guard. He just said he's gonna take her to the nurse's office, but instead, he quickly decided to throw her out the window. Dang, I wonder what this girl done to the teacher that made him so mad.
The classroom was on the 4th floor and the girl fell to her death, landing on the pavement below. Her stunned classmates ran out of the room screaming and crying. Classes were then suspended for weeks. The teacher was arrested and he was found to be mentally ill. For this reason, he escaped the death penalty and was put in a mental asylum.
I did some digging on this case to see if it was true or not, and I found some stories on it. The teacher was allegedly a 28-year-old man in number 12 middle school. The internet doesn't say that the student did anything to him, so she was probably just doing her classwork, or maybe even just talking to one of her friends, and he suddenly started to attack her. He was convicted of murder, but he was exempted from criminal punishment. The reason for him to not have punishment is because he was having a schizophrenic episode, and therefore, according to medical legal evaluation, lacked the ability to judge or control his behavior. The victim's family did receive some monetary compensation from the school. Many were upset by decision that he didn't go to prison for, ending a student in such a brutal way. I don't necessarily know how schizophrenia works, but if he had past episodes of schizophrenia, then I don't think he should have been a teacher in the first place. He should have been on treatment and recovering this whole time. But if this was his first episode, then I guess that's somewhat reasonable, but I feel like that this should have never happened. Imagine you sprain your leg and now you're in crouches, and your teacher thinks you're attention-seeking. So she takes away your crouches, which is what is helping you walk while you're in pain.
You're gonna regret this. Get out of my class. So this kid sprains his leg during soccer practice. The doctor gives him crutches, a note, clear instructions, but his teacher, she never liked him. She thinks he's dramatic, thinks he's lazy.
Maybe he was one of those kids who never did his school work and was always loud in class. That's probably why the teacher never liked him very much.
He walks into class on crutches, and she just stares at him. You don't need those. Stop milking it. He tries to explain, but she just cuts him off. If you want attention, do it on your own time. Give me those. She takes his crutches and locks them into a cabinet. He stares at her, calm, and just says, "You're gonna regret this."
Why would she keep someone's property in her closet? Maybe she gave it back to him after that class period.
And for the rest of the day, he walks all day on his hurt leg. He doesn't ask for help, he's not complaining. He's limping, he winces, but he keeps moving.
I just know he was in so much pain that day. He should have fought the teacher for the crouches back. But he really wanted to prove a point, which was to make the teacher regret taking the crouches from him.
Well, that night his leg is on fire. The next morning he's back at the doctor. It's worse now. He has a hairline fracture because he was walking on it so much because the teacher took his crutches. Oh, it's about to get bad for this teacher. The next morning he walks into class again with crutches, a medical boot now, and another doctor's note. He doesn't sit. He doesn't yell. Just stands in front of the whole class and says, "So I watched the rest of the day like you told me to?" Well, turns out that refractured my injury. I'll be on crutches another 6 weeks now, so thank you for that. The whole class is silent. She tries to speak, but the door opens and the principal walks in. "Hi, Miss Harding. I need to speak with you. Please bring your things." She freezes. Then she grabs her stuff and head towards the hallway.
Oh, it's rather she's in big trouble or she got fired that day. She's so unreasonable though. If a student is ever wearing crouches, you should never take it away from them. Even if the student is a very bad, loud, attention-seeking student.
And she walks out. She doesn't come back the next day. Or the day after that. She was fired. Karma's a...
Yeah, she honestly deserved that. Never take any medical thing from a student. I always liked having a substitute teacher in class cause that means I can be on my phone and not necessarily do work. But after hearing this story, it kind of changed my perspective on substitute teachers.
One day, a class had a substitute teacher, and as the day went on, the substitute's behavior became increasingly weird.
A bit off topic, but has anybody had a substitute teacher that was actually teaching the class something? Every time I had a substitute, they would always tell us to do something and then sit at their desk all class period.
She was making the kids draw dead people who were cut open with a knife.
Drawing people's organs and insides seems like something you would do in biology class. I heard in high school biology, you get to dissect a frog. Honestly, that sounds gross but kinda interesting. I wouldn't do it though. I'm too scared to dissect anything.
The substitute would also start putting her hands around some of the kids' necks and squeezing hard, and then begin screaming things about Jesus. All the kids became afraid of her, and a group of brave students managed to sneak out of the class and go to the principal's office and tell them about the substitute. The principal came to the classroom not long after, and when he saw the drawings of dead people, he tried to get the substitute out of the classroom, but she refused. The principal then grabbed the substitute and tried to pull her out of the classroom, but then she started to bite his face, and then took a big chunk off of his cheek. After this, the principal called for backup and the substitute was dragged out of the classroom by multiple people. A few days later, all of the kids' parents were called into the school for a meeting, and the school then explained that the substitute teacher was a psychopath and that she should have never been hired in the first place. Luckily, none of the students were hurt from this teacher, but sadly, the principal got his face bitten off.
Fun fact, most substitutes are actually friends the teachers. I wonder what this crazy substitute and teacher had conversations about. But anyways, since you made it this far, you should hit that like and subscribe button. Stay safe. Bye bye my winters.